because he owns both the masters and the publishing, because when people come to you to sync your music to their project, they have to get a clearance for the master they want to use as well as for the publishing. And if you own your recording and you own your song, you're what's called one-stop shopping. They can go to you and you can approve both sides of it and you can get your money.
Hey everybody. Thank you for being here. We have such a special treat for everyone. Rhonda, I like you do always says, I will not do you justice because everything that you've done and accomplished and the road you paved and all that good stuff for all artists and creatives is just so amazing, and your story is amazing. So I'm gonna let you take it. Do you have anything to say?
I'm here to learn.
Okay, well, I'm here to talk about publishing and your intellectual property. And if I get, anybody who has any questions, put it in the chat. If I'm dumbing it down, I just want everybody to, let's start with the basics. And then, we can go on up from there. I want to welcome everyone. I see a couple of special friends, my partner in Canada, Tina Cole, our Rory Pullins, who we adore, Ralph Johnson from Earth, Wind and Fire, Wendy Vaughn from The Emotions. I love all of you and thank you for being here. First of all, who's a publisher? What does a publisher mean? If you are a songwriter, you also are a music publisher. People think publishing is Warner Chappell or Sony, and yes, it is, but every songwriter owns their own publishing, and the publishing side is what controls everything. So it's who licenses it, who owns it. So what you need to understand that a publisher is your company until you give those rights to someone else through a deal, co-publishing, administration, whatever, you own those rights. A song is broken down, and I know it's a little weird for people, but a song is broken down to 200%. You have 100% that is your songwriting rights, and you have 100% that is your publishing rights. And every song, you have to claim those. Now, if you wrote the lyrics and someone else wrote the music and you're splitting it equally, you would each have 50% of the songwriter's part and 50% of the publisher. When you are a publisher, the very first thing you need to do is establish your company with what's called a PRO, which is the Publishing Performance Rights Organizations. You may know of two of them are very commonly known, BMI and ASCAP, but there's also CSAC and there's also Global Rights Management. Now, when you join ASCAP, ASCAP charges $50 to join as a writer and $50 to join as a publisher. BMI does not charge for being a writer, and they will actually, until you get some money, will allow you to put all 200% on your writer side. But once you start licensing your songs, you need to establish your publishing company. And they charge $250 to become a publisher. So although it may be less expensive in the beginning, at the, when you decide to go that way, it's a little bit more expensive. But both of those societies collect quite well. CSAC, also NG Global Rights, collect well as well, but CSAC is invitation only. They are, you cannot join them like you can with ASCAP or BMI. Usually they invite people who have some notoriety, who have been on songs or who are co-writing with one of their other writers. Global rights management, again, is invitation only, and they usually deal with people like Pharrell, Smokey Robinson, Bruno Mars. They're high level. Starting out, you're probably not going to be asked to join either of those companies. So ASCAP and BMI are it. And like I said, they're both really good. Get to know the people there. They have people who are in charge of syncing songs for film and TV. They know what's going on. They talk to the music supervisors. Try and establish a relationship, especially if you're in a major city where they have actual offices. Find out, are they doing any meetings? Are they doing any, sometimes they do little seminars. ASCAP has the ASCAP experience, which is held yearly. It hadn't been held because of COVID, but they're going to hold it again this year. And it's open to anybody. You just have to pay the fee. At South by Southwest, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, they will all have, BMI might have a Latin night at one club, a country night at another, a indie singer-songwriter at another. They will have representatives there. If you're going to South by Southwest, go and meet these people, introduce yourself, get in their face. It's important to do. And if what Davina was playing when we opened up, y'all are really talented people. So you need to get with these people and push your music. Now, the streams, first of all, let me go back. Copywriting your songs are very important. This is done through the Library of Congress. And the copyrights are done with the actual recording, which is called the master, and then the underlying composition, which is the actual lyrics and words and melody. And those, to copyright the master, you need an SR form, which means sound recording. And the one for the song is called a PA form. And that's what you need for the rights. Now, it's about 65 a song, but you can, in the beginning, copyright a group of songs, especially if it's the same writers on all the songs. You can just do it in a group and break it out later when you have a little bit more money. But it's important.
Sorry. Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure, of
Can we
course.
go back to the CSAC and global rights? You said it was invite only.
Mm-hmm.
And you really will only get invited when you start to kind of get some notoriety and some buzz. If you're already registered with BMI and ASCAP, how does that work?
To change organizations.
Can you be a part of two, or would you have to change?
As a writer, you can only be in one of the four. And there's a time period. With ASCAP, I think it's 5 years. I think it might be 4 with BMI. I'm not quite sure. But that's the only time you can change as a writer. As a publisher, you can have with all of the organizations because you may buy a piece of publishing that somebody else has written. So if that person, say you're an ASCAP writer, your co-writer is BMI, but he needs money for tires or whatever. And he says, look, I'll sell you my publishing on this song. You can then establish a company with BMI. So because you need to have all the publishing equal in both. They will not register a song if it's not equal. You can have different societies have different song, have the same song, because you have writers that BMI, ASCAP. They may even be overseas and be PRS in England or Jazz Rack in Japan, which all of the societies worldwide have reciprocal agreements. They collect overseas and pay through international, and you get international distributions here. But you need to know which organization everybody belongs to, and you need to have an equal amount on your writer's side shares percentages as you do on your publishing side.
Thank you.
So that's that. And I'm open to questions at any time.
Okay.
Now, these companies, the BMIs and the ASCAP and CSAC and Global Rights, they're collecting for performance rights. So you have, say you have a song in a movie, you get what's called a sync fee for that. But then when it goes to be on TV or on a streaming channel, you're going to get performance money. In the United States, it does not pay while it's in the theaters, but once it hits TV, which lately is a very short period of time, you're going to see that. I own a little piece of the title track to Soul Plane, and I get that. I get money for that all the time because people love Snoop. So it's playing, that Soul Plane is playing somewhere 24/7. It's not a huge amount, but that thing will pay forever once you have a piece
So
of
important
music.
to know. So important to know.
And so the one thing with performance is if you are playing at a venue, all of the venues, the bars, the Forum, the Madison Square Garden, they all pay performance licenses to all of these organizations. So if you are playing in these organizations, what you need to do is to submit your set list to them so they know, okay, I played at this club on Friday night, and these were the songs I played. And you will get money. They keep track of that type of things. Some people who hadn't been doing that, and they'll only go back a few months. So you need to keep up with that. That's one of the things you need to do, is turn in that set list. So performance money comes in when something is being performed, whether it's being performed on the radio, television, or live. All of that generates income, your performance income. And that's a big source of music. That's interesting that it's equal right now, just about, on who's in what organization or society. The other thing that I just touched upon was synchronization income. Synchronization income is when your song is attached to a movie, a video game, a television show, a trailer, anything when it's attached to another form of media where they're syncing the sound with some type of visual. That's what's called synchronization. And that is a huge piece of income. It used to be that when people bought records, that was the biggest source of income, what we call mechanical income. But people don't buy records so much anymore.
Not in the world of streaming.
Right. But some people like vinyl and they'll still buy that. I don't think people really buy CDs or cassettes anymore. Vinyls had kind of a resurgence, but it's still very little sales go on. So you're looking for those other things. Now, I have a friend of mine who produced his catalog in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, a lot of what's called Northern Soul music. That, because he owns both the masters and the publishing, because when people come to you to sync your music to their project, they have to get a clearance for the master they want to use, as well as for the publishing. And if you own your recording and you own your song, you're what's called one-stop shopping. They can go to you and you can approve both sides of it and you can get your money. So this guy he's got 3 songs so far on Daisy Jones and the Six, which is the new Apple show. He's had about 12 songs in Winning, the show about the Lakers. I mean, now they're not huge fees, but they're a couple thousand here, couple thousand there. We did a big song on, and it depends where it's being used. If it's being used as an end title on a TV show, as opposed to in the middle of the show and just background music, if it's not featured, it's going to pay less money. Now, the one thing you do want to ask people to do if you approve something for a film or TV or video game, is you need to ask them to have the production company, when you license it, submit what's called a cue sheet. A cue sheet is every piece of music in that particular show or movie. I had one client once called me up, was complaining that he wasn't getting any performance money on a song. And I asked him if he had the cue sheet, and he actually did. He sent it to me. He didn't look at it when he got it. They had the wrong publishing company listed. So we had to get that fixed with the production company. So you want to get that because they all give those cue sheets to ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and Global Rights. So you want to make sure that what's on it is correct and that it has been filed. But if you have a copy of it, you can make sure, if you don't see any income, you can call ASCAP and say, hey, do you have a cue sheet for this? Because I have one from the production company. The same is true if you have a commercial. You still need to have a cue sheet on it, and it needs to be filed, which is a little tricky filing commercials with ASCAP and BMI. You have to submit proof. And these are things someone like me does for my clients. I make sure everything's registered properly.
So I just want to make sure everybody's still with us. If you guys are good and you guys are getting so much information, so many gems, I just need you guys to drop me some fire signs, some hearts, something. Let me know that you're still with us. And if you have any questions, remember, drop them in the Q&A or in the chat, and we will, ask them as we go along or towards the end. Rhonda, this is crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and mute and you keep going.
Okay. So how do you collect all this money? You've got money on YouTube. You've got, things going on all these different things. There is Sound Exchange. There is the MLC, which is the Mechanical Licensing Collective. There's the National Music. There's so many places to collect from. So what I do for my clients is I work with a company called exploration.io, and they have a whole team that's going out, and you can pick and choose what you want. I'll address the Harry Fox agency in a moment. you can pick and choose to collect from Harry Fox there. You can tell them, no, I'm getting my sound exchange directly. I've put all my songs up there. I don't need you to do that. And they're fine about that. But for you to collect, and they charge between 10 and 15%, depending upon which options you choose. But their people are looking for your songs all the time. So it's really, I like them a lot. Now, the Harry Fox agency, what they do, because someone just asked in the chat box, what they do is they have songs listed. So if you want to cover a song, say you want to do a song like Witchcraft, which Frank Sinatra made very big. And I'm throwing that out there because Ralph just produced this lovely new singer called Kendra Erica, and her song that Ralph, along with Myra McKinley from Earth, Wind and Fire, just produced. It's coming out in a few weeks, and it's an amazing rendition of the song. But what you do is you go to Harry Fox, you establish an account, and Harry Fox will give you a license to allow you to distribute that song. And that's what you want. Now, they do not collect for everyone. They do the majors. They will license for Warner, they'll license for Sony, but there's a lot of people who they don't license for. Then what you need to do if you want to cover a song is you need to look up that song. All BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, and Global Rights have their catalogs up. You go to their site, which is bmi.com, ascap.com, and you look at their repertoire. And you can go there and it will tell you everyone who owns that song and how to contact them. And it's a very useful thing. For instance, if you want to sample someone, you have to get permission, and they don't have to give you permission to use their song. They can say no, they don't like it. I had one writer, the late Skip Scarborough. Skip was okay if somebody used the N word, but he wasn't okay if someone used the F word because he was Christian and didn't like that, and it's up to them what they want to use, whether you want it or not. It may be a horrible song and you're just like, no, I don't want my song associated with that. The people who own the song have the right to tell you no. But this is where you go to find it. You can find the label anywhere on the internet if you're using the master to sample, and you go to those people. For instance, Ralph Johnson, who was on our group over here, who's in the room, he had a little song that someone called him up in 2001 and said, we've sampled a song you wrote in 1972 or 3 called Sounds Like a Love Song, and my artist would like to sample it. And Ralph said, who's your artist? And they said, Jay-Z. And Ralph was like, the Jay-Z? And they were like, yes. And we did exactly, Song Cry. That's the song. You got it. And it was, that song has since been sampled by Keisha Cole, Tory Lanez, Drake, Mary J. Blige. Just the list goes on and on. We probably get several requests a year for that song because it's such, and they'll sample either Song Cry or the original Sounds Like a Love Song by Bobby Glenn. Now, in the case of Jay-Z, he wanted the Bobby Glenn song. He did not want the Spinners or the Whispers did it. I think the Whispers, but they also did it. He did not want that version. He didn't want Walter Jackson's version. And we didn't know who owned the master. The company was small and pretty much not doing anything. And Ralph's co-writer, the late Douglas Gibbs, said, well, I remember where he lived. So let me go over to that neighborhood and see if anybody knows where his family is. Because the guy was pretty old when they had first recorded the song. They didn't think he'd be around. But Douglas found the house. The guy was alive, still owned it because nobody offered to buy the label because there was nothing really going on with it. And so they brought him to my office. He had no clue what a sample was. We explained to him what a sample was and how it works. And he agreed to let us sample it. And that song is considered one of Jay-Z's top 5 songs. He always plays it in concert. It's, one of his biggest grossing songs. Now, if you as songwriters and publishers want to sample a song, and producers, what can you expect? If you want to use the original song and the master of the song, you have to get the rights from the record company, and you always have to get the rights from the publishing company. What you can expect is they are going to want an upfront, non-recoupable advance. This is for years, the sampling was done a variety of ways until they came down with a general way that people do it. And what people are asking for is a non-recoupable advance and a piece of the new royalty, a piece of the new composition. You're not going to get away with it if you don't have the money to do it. I would stay away from sampling because it can get quite expensive. And the publisher is going to want the same amount as the record company and vice versa. So if the record company is Warner and they say, I want $10,000, the publisher is going to do what's called MFN. This is 3 letters you need to know in this business. In fact, I was on a webinar an hour ago with music supervisors, and they were talking about MFN. It's called Most Favored Nations. And what it means is it's a tax law originally where countries, if you traded, say, Cuba gave us sugar and we were giving them timber, the value of the timber we gave them was equal to the value of the sugar they gave us. So in this case, what we mean with most favored nations is that whatever the record company gets, the master gets, the publisher gets. So if you're an independent songwriter, but your song was on Sony, they're probably going to ask for more than you think of asking for. So it will work out. But again, if you don't have the money, you really shouldn't go after it. Although I have one story that Ralph can attest to as well. We had someone trying to get hold of us, but he didn't really know what he was doing. And he finally got hold of us. And his story, he had been in jail and he loved Song Cry and found out that it had sampled Sounds Like a Love Song. And when he got out of jail, turned his life around and was an amazing father. He helps other people. This guy is just awesome. And he said, I was going to, I'll answer that in a minute, Mo. He, just did not have any any money, but he wrote the song for his children. And his story was so compelling, and he checked out on every level. We checked out everything he was telling us, that we decided to let him go ahead and do it without asking for an advance. And it was such a sweet song. It's called Feel So Proud. It's by a guy named FKM, which means Family, Karma, and Money. And the song actually won a Hollywood Music and Media Award. So it's just fabulous. You can find it on YouTube, but we just really, really liked him. Now, the MFN applies to the upfront advance, but the piece of the royalty is different for the master as for the song. So the master might say what you get is an upfront advance for the master and a portion of the artist royalties. So say you have a song, you might get $5,000 for the master and 35% of the song, but of the artist royalties of the song. But the song side, they have used a lot more of the song side. So you still get the $5,000 advance, and that's over 100% of the song. So if you only wrote 50%, your advance would be $2,500. And you negotiate what you're getting as a percentage of the publishing, because they're completely different. So it's just the advance money that you're talking about is MFN. And when you're negotiating sync fees as well, it's something to ask. You want most favored nations with other like songs in that show, because if the show has a famous song as background music owned by Sony, they're going to get more money than you. But if it's the same type of background, you can demand most favored nations. And if they really want your song, they're going to give that to you.
So there are a couple of questions. So Liesel asks, is there a way to switch if I'm already registered with BMI? She says she wish she would have knew back then about the fee, and she would have just paid the $50 up front for ASCAP.
What you need to do is find out when your term ends with BMI. That's the only time you can change, is at the end of that. And BMI, it should be in your logon, in your profile, it should tell you. But if not, you can send them an email and ask them, when do I end? But once you pay that fee, you don't pay it again. So if you've already got a publisher with BMI, you might as well just stay there. But if you're only a writer with BMI and you want to change, then you have to do it at the end of your period.
Okay. I hope that answered your question. Well, I'm sure it did, because Rhonda is the professional and the expert.
Wendy Vaughn just said, Liesel, that BMI is every 2 years. And she misses the window every year. That's funny, Wendy. And so just find out when it is, put something in your phone, find out when you have to give them notice. I find my phone is the best way to keep track of things, put things in my calendar, and, it gives me that reminder. So,
So Wendy had a question, and she wanted to know, how do you keep the copyright police on IG, Facebook, and YouTube from flagging music on live streams that you do have the rights to use? That is a great question.
Yes, and they're horrible about this. They do this to all the people who I know. And, it's that's you just have to email them, and I'll have to ask the exploration and get back to you guys to see if they know a way to do it. But I know that it happens all the damn time. Everybody complains about it. So, I'm not quite sure what to say, but YouTube doesn't do that if it's your stuff. You have to have all your all of your stuff written on YouTube, who owns it and everything like that. And then, they shouldn't do that.
Hmm.
So yeah, we always repost things. Sync opportunities. Yeah, that's kind of a difficult one to find out. First, you need to know who's looking for things. If you have an IMDb Pro account, it will show upcoming productions, and you can look up who the music supervisor is. Now, many of them don't accept cold submissions, but if you email them a polite note and say, I have this type of music, and it's master quality. If you ever send something to a music publisher, to a music supervisor that is not master quality and is not good, they're never going to go back to you again. So, if they're looking for a certain type of song, don't send them something they're not looking for. It is a very hard area to break into, but there's so much stuff going on out there. What I would do is look for TV shows and things that are coming up with independent production companies. They don't have as much money, and they're usually more open about listening to music and seeing, if something's out there. And if you get one thing with them that works, they'll come back to you. It's the thing that everybody wants to know. And there are some people who will actually, if they like your music, there are people who will go and place it, but they're going to want 50% of your copyright. Sometimes they want the whole copyright and just pay you as a writer. So I would be very careful about who, I would give it to. I would research them, but there are people who do placements for a living.
So Javi asks, what about using a popular phrase? And I'm assuming, Javi, you mean like as far as publishing or clearing? I'll have him. But could you use a popular phrase, or do you also have to get that?
Okay, well, that's okay. First of all, you cannot copyright a title. That's known. If the phrase is something that is unique to a song, where people will hear it and say, oh, that's from Songcry, or that's from this song or that song, then you're probably going to get flagged for a sample from the publisher. But there is no, 4 notes of music. People think, oh, if I only use a little bit, they're not going to hear it. No, if they can identify it as their song, you're going to get popped. So the thing is, if it's just a small phrase that is used in other songs, but if it's, you're fine. But if it's something that is really unique to a particular song that, everybody's going to know what it is, then you're going to be in trouble. Dr. Henry Gates, who does, all of the finding your roots and stuff like that, he did a book about lyrics and society and everything, and he used Songcry in the book. So he actually paid us to use those lyrics in his book. So even if you're putting it in print, you're still going to get paid.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's, you just have to be careful. And if you have questions, there are people you can see. Tatya, what if you create a new composition for standard? Do you mean you have the music, you're using the music? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. So tell us more.
Tell us.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have some books that you should have. All you need to know about the music business. I know Udo's always pushing that, and he's right, by Donald Passman. Kashif, may rest in peace, wrote Everything You'd Better Know About the Music Business. Both of those are great books. Of course, since Kashif has passed, I don't know if his co-writer has made any new editions of it. But Donald Passman, you want to get the most recent edition. I think it's on 11. I could be wrong, because he keeps up with the new laws and stuff like that. There's also on the publishing side a really good book. It may be out of print, but just to understand the past, the publishing hasn't changed that much. It's been pretty much the same. It's called The New Songwriter's Guide to Music Publishing, written by the guy who used to run Lieber and Stoller, Randy Poe. And he wrote it for his mother so she would understand what he did for a living. And it's a great source of music. Now, on the last time I was on here, we went over grand rights, and grand rights is something a lot of people don't know about, but grand rights are the rights for your song to be used in a play or a live performance, a theatrical performance. And grand rights are extremely lucrative. And it's why all of the people like Mr. Gordy's doing all of those Motown plays and things like that, because all of that pays money. A percentage of the ticket goes to all the publishers who have worked in the plays. And if you know a Broadway show, you're paying $400, $500 a ticket for that ticket. But that show's also playing in LA and Tampa and Chicago and Milwaukee and Detroit. And all of those tickets, a portion of those tickets gets prorated amongst all of the publishers. And they're required to pay that monthly. So it's a very incredible source of income. You're going to get it whether it's in the States or if it's playing in London and the West End, they will pay you as well. In Paris, Hamilton's getting it all over the world. Okay, I have a song called What You Gonna Do. The hook is the hook of Case of the X by Maya. Everything else in the song is different. I'd have to hear them. I mean, a cover is usually something that is the original song. You can change, like he to she or they. That's not considered something you can scat over it. But if you're materially changing the words to the song, then that's really a sample. That's not a cover anymore. So you can't get a license for that as just a cover. So I think that covers it. Tatia said, my funny Valentine, we created a new composition. So you're using the music, but different lyrics. You need to get permission for that. That's not a straight ahead cover. So you're going to need, because you're creating a new, and it's considered a new song. So you're going to need permission from all of the songwriters, and they're probably going to want to take all of your publishing. Sorry about that, but it is. People are asking why people are selling their copyrights right now. I don't understand why Justin Bieber did. Maybe got a whole bunch of money, but the older people are selling their publishing because they're getting older. Their children don't know how to administer their copyrights. So they prefer to have their music still used, so they sell it. I had this discussion with Ray Parker a few months ago. Ghostbusters is, I guess, one of his most well-known songs. And he said, my children don't know how to take care of it. He's like, so I'm going to leave them money instead. And it's true, it's, Tina wrote 200 million. That's why Justin Bieber sold his. So yeah, exactly. So, that's pretty much it. Overseas, if you are publishing, you need someone overseas to collect. If you have something that's got traction, you need to have what's called a sub-publisher. And there are companies that, like Warner's, might do a sub-publishing deal for everything outside the US, and they have offices in all the countries. Sony and Universal do. Pure Music, independent, they have it as well. So you need someone, and the reason you need someone, one, there's stuff going on overseas that you just can't collect unless you're in that country. But also sometimes they have some really interesting local television shows that your sub-publisher will pitch. I did my sub-publisher in the Netherlands did a deal with McDonald's. McDonald's was doing DJs Happy Meals. So they did a little turntable that you got as a prize that actually scratched, and they used Battle Cat. And we got a nice little chunk of money for them to be able to give out this toy with their Happy Meal in the Netherlands. They know what's going on around here. Now, these royalty-free sample pools, it can definitely create problems in the future with everybody using the same thing. I mean, I don't know how that's going to play out. If somebody, I'd have to read the license very carefully to see exactly. Everyone's going to have a different license. And that's so important, is the language in a license. Like, I do licenses all the time for not just for samples, but for synchronization. And I don't know if the royalty-free sample pools will actually allow you to, because somebody came to me once, and when I looked at the license they had signed, it wouldn't allow them to put it in a film or a TV show. So they were kind of screwed. So it all depends upon what exactly the deal is. Song Trust, they collect, I'm trying to I think they just collect what other publishers collect. I think they collect all different types of royalty. I would really have to check on that. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to give the wrong information. But I will find out and get back to you. So
Rory actually has his hand up, so we're gonna
Rory,
bring him up so he can chat with us. Mr. Rory.
Now I'm on.
There you go. Man, Rory, please let the people know who you are, your relationship with Rhonda, and then you have the stage. I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself.
Hey, the good evening, everyone. So I am Rory Pullins, and Rhonda, again, you dropped some serious knowledge on us. Truly appreciate that. I've been knowing Rhonda for some time as she has managed the career of Ralph Johnson of Earth, Wind, and Fire. I remember when I was the CEO of the Duke Ellington School of the Arts in Washington, D.C., and Earth, Wind, and Fire came and did a benefit concert for us that netted the school about $1 million for our students. And since that time, I have remained friends with Rhonda and Ralph and that whole team, and just we've done incredible things. Right now, I am in the process of working with Ralph Johnson in creating his book that will be coming about in regards to his life story and his career with Earth, Wind, and Fire. So Rhonda's just been a big part of, sharing knowledge and keeping me on the path as I've been in different positions as executive director of the arts for the Los Angeles Unified School District, and now running the production company Pull and Row. So I've had to get knowledge from people like Rhonda from time to time, whether it be in music syncing or publishing, whatever the case may be, for the work that I do.
I had to come out for Rory. I had to come out of hiding. I don't get to see Rory too much. Man, so yeah, these are two of the people that I learn and pick their brains whenever I get a chance. We have a few more questions here, Rhonda. So Shiketi says, what are your thoughts on Splice and these royalty-free sample tools? I've heard really big songs using recognizable Splice loops. Does that create issues for someone else dropping a song using the same royalty-free sounds? Are other artists protected by some sort of fair use law?
Yeah, basically, we kind of went over this, but it really depends upon what the license says, because you may be able to use it in a record, but maybe you can't use it for syncing. Okay. Each company, you've got to be very careful about what you read. I'm not too crazy about them. And by the way, Song Trust, what I thought is they use Song Trust to collect certain monies. Now, I don't know why you would use anyone to collect your BMI and ASCAP money. It's one of the things they do, but they're just a publishing administration company as well.
Gotcha. All right. Next one, and let me know if this has already been covered. I want to know if you could give any advice on how to get noticed as a songwriter to reach out to other artists, especially industry or established artists.
That's really a tough one, but I think, the biggest way is, you can play out, in different clubs, post your music on whatever platform you can post it on, try and get with as an opener to a bigger band. If you're friends, usually musicians are friends with each other. And, if you have somebody who's got some success, maybe they can help you. It's kind of a very elusive thing. Some people have luck. And, sometimes you wonder, how did somebody get up there? Their music is terrible or their voice is terrible. And then you find out, well, their brother is so-and-so, nepotism. But it's, the thing is network. That's what you have to do. It's like any other business, you just really need to network with other musicians, and there are places that are more open to that. I mean, LA, you have a lot of pay to play, which really sucks for the bands. Because you have to sell your own tickets and usually it's only your friends coming to see you. Nashville, from what I understand, is a very creative town and people work together. Austin seems to be that way. There are certain areas, but in LA as well, there are other people who just, there are places you can go to meet other writers. There are organizations to join. Women in music, and you don't have to be a woman to join women in music. Again, like I said with ASCAP, look, it's Dr. Johnson.
Hey, yeah. What's up, Uncle Ralph?
You're muted.
He looks like he's in the studio, so he's probably got 4 layers on.
I'm working on my radio show.
Ah.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, because he has a hard taskmaster who makes him give her that show to review.
Yes, every week without fail. Hopefully without fail. Rory, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? It's good to see you.
It's good to be seen and remembered. Better to be seen than viewed.
The gang is back together. Let's go.
Yeah, here we
Come
go.
on now.
That's right.
Oh man. So Uncle Ralph, you obviously have been on the collecting side of publishing checks, but I know we've spoken too about missed opportunities. So could you share just some insight for everybody who's listening, just the importance of, especially an up and coming artist, writer, getting their business straight on the publishing side?
Well, first off, it's very important to have good representation. That's where Rhonda comes in. Because
The check's in the mail.
No problem. I tell everybody kiddingly that Rhonda knows where all the bodies are buried, and it's very true. I mean, you need somebody that knows the ins and outs of this stuff, not someone who's new at it and experimenting on you, so experience is absolute. But the story she told about the Jay-Z phone call, that is absolutely true. When the attorney called me, I actually took the phone. I said, DJ-Z? I mean, I did that, because I couldn't believe it. It's just, Jay-Z was one of those names out there that I had heard, but never did I expect to get sampled, so. But you've got to have great representation. And the books that she named off, especially the Donald Passman book, absolutely incredible. That's a book you have to have in your library, read it cover to cover, because there's a lot of incredible information in there. But no, and you know what? Keep writing, because you never know when a tune you wrote is going to show up somewhere. I mean, like the Song Cry sample, which was Sounds Like a Love Song, which was something we cut on some little obscure label. I mean, who knew about it? Koala Records was the name of the label, Irv Kessler. And he brought in Doug and I to do his artist, Bobby Glenn. Now, we didn't know where that was going. So you keep writing and find some people that you can hang with that are of like mind. Don't let anybody spoil your dreams, because you never know what's going to jump off, and so just keep doing what you're doing. Stay on the course, stay on the path, and do not deviate. I'm telling you, because you just don't know.
Thank you.
You know what,
That'll
Ralph?
be $1,000, Rhonda.
No problem. What Ralph said about representation, like if you really want to do the sample and you have money and you think it's great, if you call up Sony, you can go, yeah, who are you? It's like they may get to your email 6 months from now or something. Now, when I know the person to go to at Sony, I know the people because I've been in this industry all my life. Like he said, I know where the bodies are buried. And that's very important. Can you get to them? And when you're doing a sync song, when they want that song, they want it yesterday. They're doing that movie and it's coming out and they're in post and they want somebody to approve it. And if you're not there to approve it, it'll get lost. They'll go on to the next song. There's a lot of people trying to get their songs in places. So, when we go holidays, Meghan Trainor did a song, House.
Throw back.
No, wait a minute. Don't do that, Rory. I'll have bad dreams tonight.
Meghan Trainor was so sweet. She had Earth, Wind, and Fire on her song Holidays. And being a writer herself, she was like, okay, you guys have to collaborate with me. And that song at Christmas time, I mean, we're getting boom, boom, boom. I'm getting emails all the time. If I don't answer them, that's missed money, so you've got to be on top of this. You've got to know, I was on the board of the California Copyright Conference. I go to the Association of Independent Music Publishers. Right before this webinar, I was on the California Copyright Conference webinar with Maureen Crow, who is, she and Bonnie Greenberg started the Guild of Music Supervisors. And this is everybody who does music supervision is going to be watching this. So these organizations are important for you to keep up with and see what they're doing. Again, the ccc.org, and it's theccc.org. AIMP, I don't know if that's a .org or a .com, but it's the Association of Independent Music Publishers. They have websites that will list jobs in the industry. That's another thing. If you can get a job, I don't care if you're in the mailroom or if you're doing something else, you're going to learn about the industry. If you're working for a company and they list jobs out, there are a lot of organizations that can help you. Follow the Grammys, the Recording Academy, see what's going on there, get on their mailing list. It's never, even if you don't qualify to be a member yet, you might at some point. So then you'll know what's going on, know what they're looking for, know what the timetable's on. If you want to submit something, say you have something and it's doing well, you want to submit it for a Grammy, you need to know what is the timetable where they're accepting things for release times. Look at what's going on there. It's all very important to know your industry.
Thank you for that. I put all those links in the chat for everybody who's listening. Thank you all. And Uncle Ralph, you told me this stat once, but could you share how often are Earth, Wind, and Fire records heard throughout the world?
Throughout the world on radio, I believe the stat is 1 minute and 38 seconds. Every 1 minute and 38 seconds, an Earth, Wind, and Fire song is being played.
That is crazy.
Not something I did. I'm just in the group, But I was going to tell you, we're going to be in your neighborhood August 22nd with Lionel Richie.
You already know we up there.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Just say the word. And I owe you lunch this time. I offered it last time.
Yeah, man. And
I offered it last time, but you ghosted me. You too popular.
Well,
Too she.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Man. Thank you guys so much for this. Again, you are who I go to whenever I need any advice. But I'm so happy that we could share this with a group of producers and writers and engineers who are at the beginnings of their career and trying to figure out next steps. And you guys make it possible and shown us it's possible. So, thank
And
you so
do
much.
you and Davina, they have my information for consultation. If you email me and you mention 24/7 artists, you'll get a 20% discount.
Ooh, thank you.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh, you guys take up Rhonda's. Y'all do it. I can't even explain it enough. If you guys are starting a company, you're trying to figure out how to properly organize it, how she keeps up with all her songs, how she keeps up with her relationships, because it goes beyond just making music. The business side of the music business, which it took me a while to figure out, is really relationships and organization. It's communication. And that was not my strong suit when I started. Ralph knows. He'll hit me 4 times and be like, hey man, just hit me back. So it took me a while to figure out like that's just as important as your ability to make really cool records, if not more important. And it's people like Rhonda that I look up to, because there's never been a time that I've hit her and she hasn't hit me either right back or hit me back, promptly and said, hey, what do you need? How can I help? So she's the kind of person that you want to learn from. And you guys are blessed to have access to her for what 20% more would be worth it. Trust me. So thank you for that, Rhonda.
But let me tell you, 24/7 Artists is a wealth of knowledge for everyone. I'm so happy to see what you're doing. You do. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. The 3 of you were a big push in getting this thing started. So thank you all.
Rhonda, outstanding job.
Absolutely.
Thank you, RJ.
Hey, can we get a digital round of applause for Rhonda? She's a wealth of knowledge. I learn something every time. Look at all them claps, Tina Cole said, that's all Rhonda. And there's one Q&A that I missed. So before we go, I'll close on this question. It says from Wendy Vaughn. Hi, Rhonda. If you have a song with multiple writers and publishers, what do you recommend is the best way to get everyone's permission ahead of time so that the song can be a one-stop shop? And I'm guessing she means the master and the publishing side being cleared for licensing or sync.
Well, Miss Wendy, Miss, I want to tell you something. Wendy's mom, Rhonda Vaughn, was one of the originals and still members of the Emotions.
Yay.
And her father wrote Let's Groove Tonight, Wayne Vaughn. But more importantly, 2 weeks ago, her brother and her sister, each couple had babies at different 25 hours apart. They just became aunts. So yay, Wendy.
Wow.
Yep. And anyway, getting back to the question. So I suggest in the studio to sign the split sheet. You've got to do it right there and then. And also, if you own the master, everybody needs to sign off on it then, that who owns the master. It's very important. That makes it a lot easier.
Thank you. And we are actually building a split sheet tool that'll be live in, I'll say like 2 months, I believe is a window, maybe 3, but it will be a free tool that we are providing to all creators that have the rights, the ownership, the percentages, and exactly what you just spoke to, who owns the master and who has the right to represent the publishing for licensing and sync. So that's a free tool that 24/7 Artists is building. Rhonda and Ralph and Rory, you guys will get a sneak preview and get us some feedback. But thank you again, man. We've done a lot together and it feels good every time I see you guys on my screen. I know it's been on me for us not to fit. We were this close to all being in the same space again, and I dropped the ball, but we will be in the same space soon. Look at Davina. It's really her fault.
Okay.
Actually, the 5 of us. Maybe we can get Rory out to Atlanta for the concert. Maybe we could do that.
Yes.
Or y'all just coming to Vegas. Our extended stay. They've extended our stay this year at the Venetian.
You had me at Vegas.
You know.
I want to go
That
to a
would be fun.
Yeah. You know.
Thank you. You guys are. Ooh, it looks like we about to bring a rag of people. People are saying they coming too. So
What?
thank you again. Oh man, huge Earth, Wind and Fire fan. Who isn't?
Thank you.
And y'all got to see Uncle Ralph when he pull out them percussion sticks and he start going.
Yeah, I tell you. Glad the hands are still working because the knees are going, Jack.
Don't be fooled. He's a black belt. Do not be fooled.
Exactly.
Now. Let's be nice.
Exactly. He is a black belt in almost you do. He's almost a chess player, but we're going to talk about this on National Zoom.
Wait, hold it. Wait, you know what? See, now, Rory, everything was fine. Everything was fine till you went there. Now, since you opened it up, you should tell them how the last 9 games have gone that we played. Please tell them. I want you to be a stand-up person and tell them.
You know what? There's an old saying. If you can't finish what you start, you just need to shut up. So I'm going to exercise that option and just shut up at this moment.
Okay, now, see, all right. I already made my prediction on the 10th game. You're in trouble, dude.
Oh man.
All right.
Thank you all so much. Have a blessed night. For the West Coast folks, have a good late evening, and we will see you guys on the next webinar. Thank you again, Rhonda. This was amazing. Roy, Ralph, V, thank you all.